This is Things Police See, First-Hand Accounts, with your host, Steve Gould.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast that interviews active and retired police officers about their most intense, bizarre, and sometimes humorous moments on the job. I'm Steve Gould. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you being here. This is episode number 112. We're getting up there, guys. I wanted to start off here with... I want to start by thanking the Patreon sponsors, the supporters of the show, the people that make it all happen, that keep the lights on here, my one and onlys, my sweet, sweet, precious group that I love, that I'm in love with, although they might not reciprocate, that's okay. I'm talking about David Viveros, Ricardo Zuniga, Thomas Connell, Luke Ervig, Corey Payne, Jacob Ruth, Rich Emery, Scott O'Donnell, the great David Diaz, Dylan Pyrozik, the great Sarah Pomeroy, Lauren Stimson, Alex Wazik, Brandon Hooker, Jake Pinedo, John Shoemaker, Seth Wright, Tony Fahey, William James Long, that's Deputy William James Long to you, Andy Biggs, Chris June, Adam Mihal, the great Gary Steiner, and the handsome Lane Campbell. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys support the show, you pay the bills, you keep it running, and it's motivating to me, so thank you. If you didn't know, you can join the Patreon community at thingspolicec.com, scroll down to become a patron, or you can just go right to it through the link in the show notes. You get extras there for joining the community. You have a couple different tiers you can choose from to donate, and you get, like today I released a video interview a day early, so they'll get that early. They get all the video interviews. A vinyl sticker I mail to you. We can communicate back and forth, any live events that I have, stuff like that. So it's cool. It's a great little community, and I encourage you to join it if you really love the show and want to support it. If you can't and you can't afford to, not a big deal. The show's gonna remain free. Keep enjoying it. All I ask is that you give it a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because that does help get eyes on the show. So without further ado, guys, let's get down to brass tacks here. Let's get down to our guest, because I'm excited to have a Texan on the show. It's been quite a while since I've had a Texan. This guy is from Southeast Texas. He's a deputy sheriff, been on the job 8 years. He's in patrol. He's an FTO, and recently promoted to corporal, so congratulations, Kyle, on that one. Welcome to the show, Kyle.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
I am great. I have to tell you, we were chatting before the show, and I was super pumped to hear that you subject, on quiet nights, rookies to the show, which I think is a perfect training tool everybody should pick up on.
Oh, I do. I think it's great for them to hear some stories from around the town or so. I personally, I enjoy listening to the ones that are out of the country. I love that. The guy you had on from Scotland was awesome. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, I like to let them hear just different stories, and we'll kind of talk about some of it. I sometimes even scenarios out of that. How would you do with that?
Right. Yeah, that's a big part of being a cop is like when it's quiet, like I work in a regional board, so I'll hear other communities going to calls, and you'll kind of walk yourself through. What would my steps be? What would I do when I show up? Just kind of keep yourself sharp, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So where you are in Texas is this ain't any dry heat. You guys are you guys might as well be in Florida. It's like super humid, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really the same. I mean, our county's on the Gulf Coast. We sometimes see ships out on the bay and stuff like that. So it's pretty humid, pretty sticky sometimes.
Oh, dude, it's my least favorite. Well, in New England, it's super sticky in the summer and then super, super cold in the winter. So there's a couple months a year, spring and fall, where it's okay. And otherwise, it's intolerable almost completely.
See, I take the cold over what we have any day. I'm one of those ones that I could be up in snow wearing shorts and a T-shirt.
Yeah, I hear that. There's a weird little static. Can you unplug your headphones and plug them back in, see if that helps?
Yeah. How's that, Steve? Any better?
No, it's so funny. It wasn't, of course, when we were chatting before this, it wasn't coming up at all, but now I can hear it.
Here, let me try one more time. Is that any better or no?
Every time you talk, it goes.
You want me? I could unplug them. I could try some other headphones I got up at work.
Yeah, maybe try that.
All right, give me 1 second. The wireless ones, so I'll have to try those. All right, give me 1 second. If I lose you, I'll be right back. I got to go to my settings.
Okay. Play a little mood music here. There we go. Come on, Kyle. Fix his headphones. Let's get back to the interview.
All right. How's that? Is that any better?
No, it's terrible. I don't know what it is.
Really?
Yeah. Let's try disconnecting and reconnecting.
Okay, 1 second.
Doobie doobie doo. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes this happens. Connection issues. I'm in the country. Kyle's out in the country. Not always stable connection. Not sure why he would only do it while he's talking with using different microphones. I don't much edit these videos, so sorry. All right, let's get him back in here. Sir.
All right. How about now?
Perfect.
Okay.
Sweet. What'd you have to do? Just hook up those other ones?
Well, I tried to hook up the other ones, but I just put in my wireless ones, but I saw on your thing that you wanted the wire one, so I tried those first.
Yeah, usually the wire one's the way to go, but hey, man, I'll take it, brother. I got the time marked down. We can pick right up where we left off. You don't mind the cold. So have you ever lived anywhere but Texas?
So I was in the military. I lived in right outside of San Diego. I was in Camp Pendleton.
Oh, okay.
So I was there for 4 years. And then
that's like beautiful weather.
I lived in Chicago for. Oh yeah, it's awesome. Lived in Chicago for a couple months while I was in boot camp, but and I was up in Chicago during that, and everyone complains here that it's cold, but they never felt any of that lake effect wind before.
Yeah, I heard Chicago was like a different animal, a different kind of cold. It goes right into your bones.
It did. It was actually painful. Like I've never had cold that actually hurt, but it was actually a little bit painful. But past that, I don't mind the cold. I love it.
I hear you, man. Well, you won't catch me in Texas. I love the state. I love the spirit of the state. I like the people, but I don't know. It's not real good ginger weather. I need to be somewhere. New England, probably in America, is the closest I can get to like the Irish/Nordic climate. Although it's still way too much sun for me. I've had skin cancer like 5 friggin' times because of
oh geez,
just from the sun. I just not built. My dermatologist was like, if you want to avoid this, you would probably want to move back where your people came from. I was like, geez, thanks. The guy's busting her chops about sunblock because I'm like, well, doesn't sunblock give you cancer too? And she's like, just put it on. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. My skin problems, Kyle. So 8 years on the job. Have you been in Southeast Texas the whole time? That area?
So I've been in 3 different agencies. My first year, I was with an agency a little bit north of where I was. And then my middle agency was actually up in the DFW area, and I came back down here to be closer to family.
Yeah, kind of. You have family, like kids now yourself?
Yeah, I got kids. I got 3 now. We just had one back in April.
Nice.
So I'm done. I'm so done. I'm done. I got to go schedule something with the VA to make it where I don't got to worry about kids no more.
Will they do that for you at the VA? They'll do a vasectomy?
Yeah, they will.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Dang, they do everything, man.
But yeah, sometimes. They like
exactly. I figured they want more soldiers. They'd probably refuse to do it. So let's get down to brass tacks here. Let's get down to the first question. Can you tell us about the first hot call you responded to? The first time your heart got beaten? Pounding, I should say.
Hot call. Yeah, first hot call was probably my first. It was within the first 3 days, and A little backstory to this. So, when I was in the military, I was actually a corpsman. So, a corpsman is, I hate saying it like this, but most civilian will understand, I was a combat medic for the Marine Corps. I was in the Navy, but since the Navy since Marine Corps is a part of the Navy, they don't like to admit it, but they are.
Right.
They use naval medicine. So I had training and trauma and everything like that. I went to Afghanistan in 2011.
Oh,
Had
wow.
all the fun over in the sandbox and everything. But the reason I'm telling you this is because I threw my FTO off with it. So the first call ended up being an autoped or an auto pedestrian,
Oh,
and yeah, so we actually weren't too terribly far away, and we got there. I'd say within 4 or 5 minutes of the call coming out. We were the first ones to get there and get out, see the guy on the side of the road. I see the driver. If I remember correctly, this is like 8 years ago. It was a long time ago. But old lady sitting there going like, "Oh no, what did I do?" So I go over and check on the guy, and do, he doesn't look too well. But I still gotta go check for a pulse and everything like that.
oh, so
Wasn't
he's
really
bad enough
bleeding or
where
anything like
he
that.
could have been DOA. It was
No,
close.
yeah, he would. No, he ended up being DOA. So, but I still checked for a pulse and everything like that. And I think I surprised my FTO because I just kind of dove right in there. But he didn't know I had all this prior experience with trauma.
Right.
So, go in there, try to feel a pulse and everything like that. I come back, my fingers are all wet. I'm like, what the hell? I was like, he's not bleeding. And so I'm like looking at it, and I realize what it is. My FTO goes, "What's on your hand?" And I was like, "Pretty sure this is CSF." He goes, "What is CSF?" That would be cerebral spinal fluid. He's
Oof.
not doing too good.
Yeah.
It comes out of the ears. It comes out of the ears with the major spinal head trauma stuff like that. And whenever I saw that, he kind of just made a couple jerks and everything like that. He was gone, but we sat there and I did my best to try and help him out. And like I said, that was my first day or two, first day or two or three, and that was the first hot call we went on. And I was sitting there trying to help EMS. EMS was really impressed with. They were like, "Who are you?" And I was like,
Right.
I'm a deputy."
Yeah, most
But
cops are like, ABCs of policing, ambulance before cruiser.
yeah. So, but that was my first hot one, and I just remember thinking like, "Holy crap, is this gonna be like this like every day?" I didn't
Yeah.
know that that'd be kind of like a once every while kind of thing. And going through the academy here, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, and I was like, holy crap, they're right.
Yeah, day one, it's happening.
So
Do you find that you've experienced different kinds of trauma now? Like not just trauma to a person, but trauma to yourself. You're going there and you're being involved in it. Is it have you always been good at processing it, or what did you find? Have you found one type more challenging than the other, military versus policing? I know some guys who are in the military look at the police stuff and it gets to them more because it's more like you're home. You're like you're in America, and the trauma you're dealing with now is every day. It's like not like you get deployed and come back. It's like you're every day you go to work. You could be exposed to some horrific trauma, and some people that bothers, some it doesn't. Is there a comparison there?
I don't. I would say the big differences between the military is, whenever I was having to work traumas, obviously overseas and stuff like that, a lot of times you're doing these on your best friends, your brothers,
Mm,
people you see every day, you live with every day, you eat,
right.
sleep, everything with. Now there were times, when you'd work on the Afghans or other civilian stuff like that, but I had more of an issue with my brothers, you know, than I do. I mean, I'd say the biggest issue that, and I think this is with any cop, is, with kids. No one wants to work on a kid.
Yeah.
That's never fun. But I, I brought a lot with me of my military service, how to cope, how to deal with. I'm doing better than some of the guys I deployed with. Some are doing better than me. Um, and some of it is even caught up with me. I'm sure later on in life it'll catch up at some point, but right now I do my best to just keep my head in the game and focus on what I need to focus on. One thing my military service taught me is that some things you just can't fix.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting you say. That makes a lot of sense that you're overseas, you're working on people like personally. That's much worse because I've been to, as a police officer, been to calls with people I knew personally that were either dead or injured, and it's way worse. So that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, most veterans that I know that are cops now, most of us all are along the same thing, unless it's a kid. A couple months ago, well, I think it was right at the beginning of the year, maybe last winter, we had a baby who had died, and there wasn't much I could do, but I did. She basically, mom woke up, the baby wasn't alive. EMS got out there first. I got out there and doing everything we could. I hopped in the back, and there's not many times I'll go hop in the back and try and help. I mean, in all reality, I haven't practiced medicine since I got out of the military in 2013, but I still have some skills that are viable.
Sure.
And hop back there doing my best to try and help the paramedics with just trying to save the kid. And I ended up saying, like, look, we could stay and play, or we could try and get her to the hospital. I was like, I'll leave my cruiser here and I'll drive the ambulance to the hospital. Y'all work on her.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Oh, good call. That's great that you had the freedom to do that too.
Well, I mean, it's one of those, I really didn't ask for permission. I just did it as a kid, but luckily it worked out for me. No one got in trouble and everything like that. So that was the best thing.
The kid didn't make it though.
Unfortunately, no. She passed.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, some of the saddest calls, obviously, that I've had on the show have to do with kids dying. It's just really, really brutal. And I've been on the periphery of some of that. I've never actually been involved. Now, of course, I'm screwing myself by even breathing these words into the air.
Yeah, talking about it.
But that's a big. There's not really many things left on the job I'm like really afraid to do. I've been doing it for enough years now, but that is one that really, really, because I have 3 kids now myself. It's almost better if it happens to you in your 20s or something when you're kind of like, clueless.
Yeah.
I was a natural resource officer in the Cape. And I think I've said this before in the podcast, but one of the senior guys right before I got hired in the agency, they had a drowning, and it was like a 7-year-old. He was there when they pulled the body in them, but he had a 7-year-old that looked exactly like the kid, dark brown hair, the whole deal. And a couple of weeks later, he told the director, he was like, I got a problem. Like I can't stop sitting on the end of my son's bed at night watching him sleep. He was like driving him crazy. So I heard that and was like, ooh, that's some tough trauma. Things like that, you definitely have to try to get some help or talk to somebody. That's heavy duty.
But hey, quick side story I want you to mention about things that you mentioned will happen. I'll never forget this. So there was one night, it was at my first agency. It was really a quiet night. Nothing really going on. I was in dispatch, and one of my dispatchers, I never really believed in saying the Q word or anything like that.
Yeah. Shh, don't.
I've never, you'd have the more senior deputy sitting there and say, like, what the hell, why would you say that? And I was like, whatever, this is bullshit. And my dispatcher goes, we haven't had a murder in a long time.
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, and of course, I haven't worked a murder yet. I'd only been on the job 6 or 7 months. So we haven't had a murder in a long time. And then further in the conversation, she brings up a road that we haven't had a call on in a long time. I'll be damned if 3 hours later I wasn't working for my first homicide on that road.
You're kidding me.
No.
Damn.
I swear to God.
She's fired. Get her out of there.
Yeah. I was like, did you have something to do with this?
Was that your conscience kind of, trying to come clean?
Yeah, I was like, what'd you do?
Damn.
So,
that's eerie.
Yeah, no. But ever since then, I've been avid. Don't say that damn word. Hush.
Yep. Happens all the time. I'll pull up next to another cruiser and we'll be like, hey, what's going on? And the first thing you want to say is quiet night. And then you're like, zoop, nope. You just say it's going great. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I'm so like with that level of believing in it, you walk into a gas station, they're like, hey, how's your night going? Is it quiet? It's like, even if it has been quiet, I'm like, nah, I've been busy as hell.
I can't even tell you about it. I got to go right now. I got another call.
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
But yeah.
It's funny. It's the same everywhere. That's like a national thing here. I wonder if that's overseas, the Q word.
I don't know. Maybe next overseas guest you should ask them.
Yeah, I'm going to. Absolutely. Kyle, can you tell us about your strangest or most bizarre thing you've dealt with?
Okay, so I got two with that one. They're both, one's a short one, one's a little bit medium.
Let it rip, baby.
The first one, both of these happened when I was up in my agency in DFW. And the first one was I got called to a welfare concern in the house. Family has not heard from old boy in a couple days and everything like that. So obviously every cop that's been doing this long enough knows what the hell they might be walking into. You're just waiting for the smell to hit you on the way up.
Right.
And
a nice bloated corpse.
Well, it didn't. Yeah. But I never got the smell of corpse, but it was an old messy looking house anyway. But the door was wide open. So, I was like, called in. Fire ended up making scene. I don't know why they were there. I can't remember why, but fire made scene. But I go in, I'm clearing the house. I'm just trying to find the guy, check on him. And I'm walking down this hallway. I'm clearing rooms and everything like that. And it was one of those nights where my backup was on the other side of the county, and they were all tied up on another big call. I think there was a big fight in one of the neighborhoods or something like that. So it was one of the times, I had to do this by myself. And I go to this back room, and the room was completely cleaned out. I mean, it looks like somebody just moved. You're in a brand new house looking around, and there's just nothing in there. No doors in the room, nothing, no boxes, nothing. So I could see the whole room. I back out, go check the bathroom, and then back out in the hallway, and there's the guy that I'm looking for is just standing there in that room. And it takes a lot to startle me. Like, there's not many things that'll startle me.
Right.
Like, it startled me enough where I yelled, "Oh, shit!" And one of the firefighters heard it, he's a reserve firefighter, but he worked for a different agency, so obviously he's a cop, too. He came running and was like, "You okay?" It's like, yeah, I'm okay. I found him." And it scared the crap out of me. I'm sitting there going, where the hell were you? Where were you? And he's going, "I was in here." I was like, "No, you weren't." It's like, "You were not in there." He was like, "Yeah, I was." I was like, "Where?" And he goes, "I was in there the whole time." And I'm sitting there. I go back. So I leave. He ends up actually getting transported by EMS because he's having some medical issues. But I'm sitting there asking him the whole time where the hell he was in there, because at this point I'm sitting there questioning myself. I'm going,
right, am I losing my mind?
Not clear that room properly? Yeah. And like, did I not clear that room properly, or like, did I miss something? I could have been shot. Sitting there going back, replaying in my mind, trying to figure out what I did wrong so I could not do it again in the future. And I asked him like 30 times, "Where were you in that room?" And he just would not tell me. I went back and watched my body cam because it bothered me. I've never just sneak up on me like that.
Yeah.
And I went back and watched my body cam. And on my body cam, you could see me clearing the whole room, and there's no one in there. And all of a sudden, you hear him popping out, and me going, "Oh shit!"
That's really odd.
To this day, I have no clue where the hell I have no clue where the hell he was. I never got my answer for that.
Do you think he could have been in the ceiling or something? Like, was it a drop ceiling or anything?
I thought about that, and obviously whenever I went back and watched the body cam, I didn't see one. But there was a space that was right over me that the body cam didn't pick up.
Imagine there's like a shelf there that he was like crouched up on, like a gargoyle.
No, there was nothing in there. It was a blank room with no doors.
That's weird, Kyle.
Nothing in there.
That is freaking weird.
I still to this day, like the hair on the back of my neck, because we're already talking about a meth monkey that just is apparently a ghost too.
Right.
So, but my second one, kind of bizarre, and this one's more like a what the hell moment, because it was another time I questioned myself. One of the cities that was in Mall County ended up having a fatality accident. 18 wheeler ran into the back of a van that ran into the back of another 18 wheeler. Well, there's three people in an 18 wheeler, or three people in the van, and all of them were killed, and the van caught on fire. They were all, as I like to call them, crispy critters.
Mm.
So I get out there. I'm helping the city with traffic control, just trying to help them with whatever I can. And I kept on smelling hamburgers, and I'm going, why am I smelling hamburgers? Like anyone who's been to a crash scene where the car's caught on fire, even if there's nobody in there, has all those smells of burnt rubber, burnt gasoline,
Yeah,
burnt metal.
terrible.
Yeah, and then in this case also burnt flesh. So I'm going, why am I smelling hamburgers? Like strong hamburger. Well, there's I think it was Applebee's. There's an Applebee's right behind me, and I actually looked, and I could see the smoke coming out of their like little grill area, but the wind was blowing it in the complete opposite direction of where we were. So I start walking around. I asked, like, when we're alone, I asked some of the other cops, I was like, do you smell hamburgers? He's like, dude, there's no way you're associating these dead bodies with hamburgers. I was like, I must have issues. I don't know. And I'm sitting here looking, I'm looking, trying to figure out if I'm having a stroke or something, or what the hell's wrong with me. While
Yeah.
I'm sitting here just smelling this overpowering of hamburgers. Well, the 18 wheeler that slammed into the van initially was hauling hamburger meat. So all the hamburger meat was cooking from the fire.
Thank goodness, Kyle. You were
And
about to ruin hamburgers for me. I love hamburgers, you bastard.
yeah, I love them too, and it was really freaking me out because I hadn't had lunch that day. It was making me hungry, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, okay, why would these dead people smell like hamburgers to me? Why is it making me hungry? What the hell's going
You're
on
like,
with
man,
me?
these
Do I
man,
need to go?
human flesh smells good.
Yeah, like that. And then finally, I figured out. I was like, look at all that hamburger meat, and then I was like, okay, I'm not quite as bad off as I thought. I haven't been doing this too long then.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kyle,
So,
can you tell us about your most intense or terrifying call you went on?
probably we another one when I was still up in DFW. It seems like most of my best stories happen outside of DFW. There's just crazy things that go on there.
It's Dallas Fort
We had
Worth.
a call that there's a yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and we had a call that there was a guy who was kind of going mental. Um, so we kind of use a 10 code 1096 or something like that. It's just one of the 10 codes we use.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'd been over to this guy. The guy was an avid hunter and had a gun collection that would make freaking Bass Pro Shops jealous. But he's going mental. His family was in there. So all the deputies that were available to responded. But this guy has a driveway. His house sits kind of up on a hill, and he has a driveway that goes all the way down the road. And the times that I'd sit there and talk to this dude, he would sit there and brag how far away he was making shots on all these animals and stuff like that, hunting and stuff like that. So when I'm sitting here hearing that he's having this mental breakdown, and we have this driveway that's at least a mile long,
You're like, wonderful.
but a clear view all the way to the house. And I'm just going, we're never going to get up there. There's just no way we're ever going to get up there. And so we kind of formulated a plan to try and give everyone the best cover that we could. And we start working our way up there. It was me and two other deputies. And we start working our way up there, and we hear a big boom. And I was like, oh no, here it comes. He just missed with that shot. And we all stopped. I mean, we were stopped for like 5 minutes to stop trying to figure out what we just heard because it didn't exactly sound like a gunshot. Unrelated to what we were doing, there are some neighbors that just blew up some tannerite,
Oh, that
which,
stuff.
yeah, just blew up some tannerite with a gunshot. So we all were
Kyle,
sitting
you got
up
to
there
take a
going like,
second and explain to the listener what tannerite is.
okay, so tannerite is a target explosive that you could buy at Academy, sporting and outdoors. It's basically just make the target a little bit funner to shoot. So if you shoot it, it goes boom, and everyone goes ooh ah. But
And
it's
it's like
also
for
very loud, just like anything.
somehow it's like not illegal because the projectile has to be going over like 2,000 feet per second or something for it to work. So you have to shoot it with like a rifle.
Right.
Because I've seen guys at the range
Yeah,
like
you have to shoot it.
yeah, like a high speed projectile. We got a little bit
Right.
lag going on, but I've seen guys like fill up like dryers with it, shoot it, and it's like, dude, you might be able to legally do that, but you're definitely going to get kicked out of the range if they come here. If a range officer catches you doing that.
Well, a side story on that is we actually had not actually far from where this incident happened, we had a whole bunch of people put a whole bunch of tannerite in a refrigerator.
Killer.
Filled the whole refrigerator up, shot it, and it sent shrapnel all over the place. And it actually started a fire. It hit people's cars with shrapnel from the refrigerator. Like the door landed on a brand new car, on one of the neighbors' cars.
Ugh,
That person actually got charges filed on them.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy.
and
I'm sorry to put you on a tangent, brother. I just wanted to extrapolate on tannerite.
Yeah, no, I mean, hell, this is Texas. We're gonna find something to blow up, right?
Right.
But anyways, we get up there, and that had to have been the longest mile I've ever walked because I'm just waiting for it. There's nothing really we could do, and I'm just waiting to be shot. And the other deputies, all three of us knew this guy. All three of us were just waiting to be picked off, and there's no cover. It's a big open field. I mean, thinking of it in a tactical point of view, it's the defensibility of his place was fantastic.
A good end of days house.
But yeah, like if there's a zombie apocalypse or something, I'm gonna go make friends with that dude because he has a mile on each side that he has a clear shot of.
Right.
But finally make it up there after what seems like 2 hours, but in reality is like 5 minutes or so. And he did have a firearm. We got him to put it down, and then we tip him to we have something here in Texas called a mental health warrant. It was kind of talking to one of that Florida guy you're talking about, that Baker Act or whatever. It's kind of equivalent to that.
Yeah, we have like a Section 35. The family can go to court, and the judge will give us a warrant to get somebody for like substance abuse and then there's a Section 12 for mental health that we can just do on our own. We just, shackle them and take them to the rubber room at the hospital.
Right. Yeah, we have similar to. It's called a white warrant from the judge. The family goes talk to the judge, and they go. The judge will give us a warrant to take them, but yeah, we have the mental health warrant that if they're a danger to themselves or other, we can articulate that, then take them straight to the hospital.
Right.
But yeah, no, that was. And like I told you earlier, I don't get excited about a lot of things. There's probably some guys you might have on here that would be excited about something that I just don't think is that exciting. But that one had me nervous because there's just no cover. There's no concealment. And I knew this guy could shoot.
Yeah, that's terrifying, especially when so there wasn't, you guys didn't have, I'm picturing just like just brownness in a road. There was no trees, nothing you could like leapfrog through, nothing.
Not up to the house. So there was trees around it, but he was in the middle of a field. So he
clever.
put his house in the middle of that field. Like I said, tactically speaking, it's defensively brilliant. But especially if you like making long range shots and stuff like that. But for those of us that had to go up there and try to make contact, it was a long way to that door.
Not cool, man. I know. I had a swatting call like that where it was not nearly like that. It was only probably 200, 300 feet, the approach. But the house was blacked out, and there's a weird, it's a really off feeling thinking that like someone could be pointing like a gun at your head. You know, in any second something could happen. It's like extremely uncomfortable. And for that call, I happened to be, we didn't have the rank of corporal, but if there was, you could be certified as an OIC. After you worked long enough, they would certify you. So I was certified OIC, and I happened to be in charge that night. So it was like, I'm making the approach. I got the chief calling me at the same time. I got guys from other towns helping us. 2 of them are SWAT guys who like know way more than the rest of us. So they're like, "Hey guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna leapfrog." And I'm like, "Guys, you gotta stop. Everybody gotta stop talking to me at the same time," because they knew how to be the safest way to do it, really, you know. But
Right.
And it was a swatting call, so it was actually a kid from Russia who hated this kid, but it was a problem house, so it was like probable, but that this. Like he said, he cut his mom's head off and all this, and we were like, could happen there. But this Russian kid did like a American accent and called 911 from Russia through like voice over internet protocol.
Right.
And he was like, "Hey man, I cut my mom's head off," and you know, whatever. But yeah, that whole, you know, red dot on your chest possibility is never comforting at work.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing is, if I'm gonna die, at least let me fight a little bit. Don't just. That's my biggest fear, is just out of nowhere.
Just
So at
lights
least
out.
if I see it coming, yeah, that at least give me a fighting chance. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, past that. No, that was definitely my. I was sweating. I had to peel that uniform off when I got home that night.
Brother, you got to peel that uniform probably off every shift at this point in the July, right?
Oh, I know.
Oh,
Yeah, it's getting pretty bad. I'm really looking forward to 70s.
now let me ask you a question,
That's better than
Kyle.
what we get.
Do you guys do the outer carriers? Like
So here we just switched to full outer carrier. So we have the undershirt and then we have the outer carrier. Up until 6 months ago, you had the option, but you had to go buy it yourself,
okay.
which I did. So I'd been wearing the outer carrier for the last 3 years that I'd been here, but we just switched to all outer carriers. Kind of got lighter 511 pants. I don't know how to explain it. It's almost that material. Remember back in the 90s, those windsuits?
Like pajamas.
It's kind of, the pants are made of that, but it's a little bit thicker than the windsuits were. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice uniform. The sheriff finally let us get that stuff, and I'm actually thinking about, because I already have back issues from the military and
Yeah.
8 years doing this. I've actually been thinking about switching over to suspenders, especially since we do have the outer carriers. You just put the suspenders on the front, kind of take the load off your hips.
Yeah, I was having problems with the duty belt. I remember about 10 years in, I went like on the canine track, you know, trying to keep up with the handler, and it's like my hip flexors, my hips, everything was killing me. And then even just the end of normal shifts, getting out of the cruiser, I was like, oh, like my hips were, it was more my hips actually than my back. It was my hips. And they came out with these weight-bearing outer carriers. And I know like it's a hard sell sometimes to the public, and listeners will know, like, you'll know what I'm talking about because all this stuff is loaded. It's like, it's where it would be on the duty belt, but up on our stomach, attached to the vest. But let me tell you, since I started using that, I've not had one day when I've had sore hips, or I don't creak and ache when I get out of the cruiser. But here's the thing about it that I think is the temptation to take it off is now way greater. Because before, when it was under your shirt, it was just it's like a wet diaper you wear. You're like, I just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to take that off, because then you got to put it back on, and it's cold and wet.
Yeah.
So, but now if I go get a big like dinner, eat it back at the station, I'll take that baby off, eat like a pig, and then I got to face putting it on, and it's like, can I just ride? Maybe I could just ride with it next to me in the seat, because it's like so frigging uncomfortable when you stuff your face.
Oh, I've thought about it. Now, there's times I've done exactly what you're talking about. I'd go pick it up, pick my food up or whatever, go back to the office, eat it, take off my vest. A lot of times, especially during the summer, I'll take off my vest if I'm working on reports and stuff
Oh,
like
hell
that.
yeah.
It's definitely a lot nicer because I could have the vest on within a couple seconds, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
But
I do the
yeah,
same. It's
no,
like a
the
little
outer,
reward. If you got to write a report, you can take your vest off. It's nice.
yeah, except for whenever you get 4 or 5 sweaty deputies that have all been working all day, and then we all go in the patrol room to work on our reports. We also take off our vests, and then somebody else walks in there and goes, "Oh God, what's that smell?"
Feels like a hockey room. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
guys. Women know this about men. We have we're very creative when it comes to not having to wash something. So I know guys that will, there's you can use all kinds of sprays on those other carriers and make them look fresh and new, but the inside is still rotten. The outside, the
Yeah,
nylon looks fine, but because they are a nightmare to clean. Taking all
yeah, yeah.
those moldy carriers off and washing it, and it's like, I barring summer, I think you can go a couple months at a time.
Yeah, yeah.
Spot clean
No, I
it.
mean, es- especially during the winter, even down here, if you're not getting into anything like that, there's no reason to wash it every night. I mean, you're sitting there talking about it. I literally got finished putting mine back together about 2 hours ago because I had to wash mine.
Yeah, such a pain in the ass. Kyle,
Oh, it sucks.
can you dig deep? Can you tell us about a heartwarming situation from the road?
So I did have to think about that one for a little bit, but it'd probably have to be one back at my first agency. Involves a kid, but this time the kid was okay, luckily. Um, Me and the other deputies in my shift, we just all sat down for dinner, and I think our food just got put in front of us too. And we ended up getting a call that there was a baby stuck in a bed,
Ooh,
and we're like all of us, we all kind of looked at each other like, how does that work?
yeah.
And they say, oh, and dispatch ended up getting a little bit more information. We're starting to get up and everything like that, and they say it's a hospital bed that collapsed.
Ooh,
Now I was like, okay, now we got to get over there really quick now. So all of us hopped on our cruiser, sitting there yelling, we'll be back. We'll be back to come pay and hopefully eat.
yeah. Don't spit in our
And
food.
yeah, um, the caller's house was maybe about 2 miles away, so we got there relatively quick. And going back to firefighters, EMS, the firefighters were obviously volunteer out there, so it takes them a second to get to the
Mm-hmm.
firehouse, get all their stuff, get out there. So we were definitely there by a long shot. And there was 4 of us. There was just one of the times that just all 4 of us happened to be sitting there eating, and we all got to go to a call together, which is far and few between.
I'm sure.
Um, so we get there and we just hear this little girl, two, maybe three, just screaming her head off.
Oh,
All of us were parents. All of us were dads, and dad mode, superhero mode, whatever, just kicked in, and we see this baby. So the have you seen the hospital beds? How they have like springs and all these pumps and stuff like that to move the bed up and down and all that stuff,
I
right?
I know they do all that stuff. I've never seen the inner workings.
Well, she got her arm stuck in the inner workings of all that.
Ugh.
So I get there, kind of reach back into my past, start trying reaching my medical background a little bit. I check the perfusion in her fingers, which perfusion is basically the capillary refill or the time it takes up. If you squeeze your finger, then your finger it'll turn white, and then the time that it takes for the blood basically to come back in your finger.
Okay, I've seen the
Just so
vet
that
do
you
that
know
to my
really your heart's
dog's
pumping.
gums.
Yeah. So I did that on the hand that was stuck, and very very slow capillary refill and everything like that. I was like, okay. So, and I told the deputies like, hey, this is actually cutting off her circulation. I said, hey, mom, how long has she been in here? She's like, she's been there about 10 minutes. We were trying to get it off, We couldn't get it off.
Mm,
So we all obviously sometimes the easiest fix is the easiest solution, I guess. First thing I do is try and plug in the bed and use the actual remote to move it.
right.
Well, that unfortunately didn't work. So
Oh,
all
I'd be
four
I'd
of
be
us got
so afraid
together.
that I was going to go the wrong way. No, it's
Yeah, well, I
worse.
asked. Yeah, I asked mom, who I was like, which button goes up, not down? She's like, this one. I was like, okay. So I clicked it, didn't move. It was locked in there. I was like, shit. So at this point, I'm trying to figure out the way. I hop on the radio. I tell our dispatch, hey, we might need the jaws of life for this,
Mm,
just to cut this bed off, because
yeah.
that's the only way. Because we'd already tried to move it a little bit and it was not budging. So finally, all four of us got together. Two deputies pushing down on one of the bed rails, and me and another deputy pulling up, and we finally were able to. I'd say after about a minute, just trying our best to move the bed, finally we were able to get a little bit of pressure off her arm, just enough for her to pull her arm out.
Ooh.
And so I checked on her a little bit more. Her perfusion started coming back about that time EMS arrived, and I handed her over to EMS, and ended up seeing her a couple weeks later. I think it was like one of the little restaurants there in town. We were going to eat again, and saw her, and she was like, it was right before Halloween, and she was wearing like a police costume that you buy at Walmart or
Oh,
something
it's
like
awesome.
that. And the mom, who had been avid anti-police before this interaction, was a big Back the Blue supporter. That now, at least, I hope she still is, but who knows?
Dude, that's great. That's a win on so many levels.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it was cool. It was cool getting to see that. It was cool, getting to change someone's mind on us a little bit. And most of all, that little girl kept her arm, and we didn't hurt her too much trying to get everything out. So that was a big win for all of us. We all kind of walked away from an adrenaline rush. I don't have many things that give me adrenaline rushes, but that actually even gave me a little bit of adrenaline rush. I just wanted to get that kid was sitting there screaming, and I was like, God damn, what I need to do to help this kid.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, I imagine after going to Afghanistan, you're probably pretty much dead on the inside.
Yeah, there's not many things that get me excited, unfortunately.
Yeah. Kyle, one
So,
popular question, final question. I'll let you go after this.
all right.
Advice for the new candidates, people in backgrounds, people who want to be cops. I get emails a lot, quite a lot. Got one yesterday about people who listen to you guys talk about police work, talk about your stories, and if they were on the fence, they end up doing it because of listening to the men and women that come on the show. So this is a popular question. What would your sage advice be to these young men and women?
Before we get started on that, I got to tell you about one of the alligator calls.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So, obviously, where we're at, we have a lot of alligators. We deal with them. I see alligators daily.
All right,
It's
so
kind of,
I'll stop you right there. I didn't even know there was alligators in Texas. I guess I'm naive, but
no, yeah, we on the east side, part on the Gulf, the whole Gulf of Mexico. We about I'd say 100 miles inland. We have bunches of alligators. We have
makes sense.
just like Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. We all have very healthy alligator populations. And a couple weeks ago, we had a big crash happen, and the the major interstate was shut down. Our interstate was shut down. An 18-wheeler was on the side, and we get a call from EMS that an alligator just walked into the middle of the crash.
Oh
And
no.
alligators being in places isn't abnormal to me. I've pulled alligators out of people's backyards. I've found alligators all over the place. I don't mind going and messing with them. I have no problem picking them up and catching them or anything like that. But just like there's all this. I mean, this is a full on, everyone's out there kind of crash. You have troopers out there, us, fire, EMS, all the wreckers are out there trying to figure out how to get this 18-1. This little 4.5 foot alligator just walks right in between EMS and the crash. So I'm like, no, it's probably dead or something. They just probably didn't see it because every once in a while they'll get hit up on the highway and stuff like that.
Sure.
I'll walk over there, and it's about a 4.5 foot little gator. So I grab him by his tail, I pull him off the main slab, and alligators, once they get to a certain size, they're still small enough for you to manhandle, but they're big enough where it's really hard, and they're still really, really fast. Well, I had all these people trying to come help me catch this alligator. And one of my rookies almost got bit trying to help me. Told him to back up. Finally, I had to have the fire get a Halligan tool so I could kind of let the gator wear itself out, and was able to finally get the gator and take him to the river down the road a little bit. But I did want you to tell that story. You seem really interested in the gator stories on some of these guys, so I figured I'd tell you one of mine.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Alligator, when they bite you, is it anything like up in the Northeast, if a seal bites you, it's called seal. You can get seal hand, which seal trainers used to have, like, they'd be missing fingers because the seal's mouth is disgusting with bacteria.
Yeah.
And are alligators the same way? Or are they, like, if you get bit, can you just treat it normally?
So, it depends on the alligator. I've only been bit by a 1-footer. I got snagged on the hand by a little bit 1-footer. It hurt like hell, but it wasn't anything. You do have to worry about the bacteria and everything in there. A lot of times, if you do get bit by an alligator, you just go in peroxide. And as long as it's not too big, you get treated at the house. Now, all of a sudden you're getting snatched by a 12, 13-foot gator, you're going to have a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought when you first started telling me that, I immediately picture a 13-footer, like going into a fresh car wreck where no one showed up yet and starting to eat the people. That's what I thought you were going to say.
No, God, no. I could probably say, hey, did you see the news 2 weeks ago? That happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would definitely make the news. I had another one where I made the news with a gator. Gator guy comes out of his house, or he's in an RV, stepping out of his house, and all of a sudden he just hears something hissing at him. And he looks under, and there's a big ass gator under there. Well, he calls our dispatch and says there's like a 5 or 6 foot gator, which I'm like, fine, I can handle that. I'll just let it wear itself out, and I'll take it back to the river or something like that.
Now, what do you mean wear itself out? Do you like attach something to its tail and just let it like thrash for a while? Is that what you do?
A lot of times, I'll just kind of, depending on the situation, but a lot of times, depending on their size, I can kind of pin them, and they'll do what's called the death roll. And they don't have too much stamina. So once they start wearing out, they'll kind of, I wouldn't say give up, but they're a little bit easier to deal with.
So you got to like put your body weight on this thing the whole time, or you just chase it till it gets tired? Is that how you wear it out?
Not really chase it, because a lot of times when you deal with gators, they're in areas where they're not supposed to be. So they don't even have anywhere to go. Obviously, if they're somewhere where they're supposed to be, like, I don't know how many times I went and shoot a gator off the road and put the bayou or the canal was right there, so they just ran in the canal and it wasn't a big issue. But most of the time, whenever we have our interactions with them, is whenever they're somewhere where they weren't supposed to be, in someone's backyard or something like that. So,
can you shoot them?
I'll kind of. We do have an alligator hunting season in Texas.
But like, can you shoot them as a cop, as like a nuisance animal? Just.
I can, if it's endangering life, limb, or property. Most of the time, though, if it's a gator that has to be put down, we'll call the game wardens, and they'll come out and deal with it. Or we have some gator catchers and stuff in the area. But I love alligators. I try really hard not to shoot them. I'll eat them too. I think they're delicious. But
what do you love about alligators? How they taste, or you just like them? They think they're cool animals.
I just think they're cool animals, dude. My hero growing up was Steve Irwin.
Yeah, he was pretty. His show was pretty awesome, I have to admit.
So, but I grew up with them. I mean, I don't know how many times I was skiing up on a lake that's near here, and there'd be a gator in the water, and I'd do my best to either jump over it or do my best to dodge it. I just grew up around them. I think they're really cool animals. I mean, frick, they're dinosaurs. I just think they're cool.
They are crazy.
So, but we can get back to your original question now. I just figured you might like to hear that one.
No, I appreciate it, man. That's awesome. I'm glad you interjected. I totally forgot that we even. I think your original email you mentioned gator stories too. I thought that sounded fun.
Yeah.
It's not an animal I grew up around. I think I've seen them in like a zoo, so it's fascinating to me dealing with them like on duty. Like put it this way, like a lot of animals like that for me. I grew up on Cape Cod, which is a peninsula in the ocean off Massachusetts, and there's just wildlife is naturally restricted there. There's no bear. There's hardly any. There's no mountain lions. There's coyotes and like foxes and stuff like that. But they didn't even have rabies for the last 200 years. I recently had an outbreak when I was working there as a natural resource officer, but just kind of like there's no poisonous snakes. There's like one poisonous spider, like a brown recluse. That's about it. You never see them. We moved to Western Mass, which is, a little bit more mountainous in the wilderness, and there's bears and moose and bald eagle. And it's like, dude, the first time I saw a bear was on duty. Like, it was slamming on the side of somebody's house because he tied his bird feeder to it and he was trying to get the seed out.
Right.
And I was like, I called somebody on the way there and I go, do I just like hit the horn? And they're like, yeah, just do the air horn or the siren. You'll scare the crap out of them. Sure enough, I hit it and he ran halfway up the hill and looked back at me, but yeah,
that's what we do as wild pigs.
Oh, really? You guys have like boars and stuff?
Yeah. We have wild pigs, and every once in a while cows will get out. But yeah, no, we'll do that with those. Freaking pigs down here are an issue too.
Is there bears in Texas?
We do have a small bear population a little bit north of my area. If you go up kind of closer to where Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas meet, kind of that Texarkana area, we do have some black bears there. And then over in West Texas, in the Big Bend region, we have black bears there.
Okay, yeah. It seems like the brown bear is pretty much gone. It's like in Alaska and, I don't know, do we even have brown bears left? Maybe Montana or something? Yeah,
so we do have a grizzly population around the Yellowstone area. As a matter of fact, when I was a kid, we were camping in Yellowstone, and we had a grizzly outside our tent. I remember shoving my brother towards the grizzly and me taking off.
Nice guy. Those things are like tractors with fur, man. Forget about it. Those things are huge. I'm sorry I'm turning this podcast into like a wildlife questioning, but
oh no, it's good.
I can see you have a lot of knowledge from all the Steve Irwin episodes, so I figured I'd shoot some questions at you.
Oh, everything you mentioned, spiders, deadly snakes, we have all that around here. Matter of fact, I got a water moccasin out of someone's house the other day. So. Oh,
hell no. No thanks, man. Ugh. I hate snakes. Hate them. All right, Kyle. I'll get back on track here. Advice for the young police candidate or somebody interested in the job.
Probably pay attention to how things are going right now in education. Educate yourself. Pay attention to the older guys and do a ride along. Anytime you go to a new agency or you're going to look at an agency, go do a ride along. Pick their brains and see how the morale of the agency is. See how the rank, see how everyone gets along together. And that's stuff that's big to me. And like I said, my biggest thing though is education and understanding the job. Our job is so dynamic and it changes so much. One thing I like to tell my rookies is our country was founded by rebels. Our country was literally founded by rebels against a bigger state. Our country is the only country in the world where Miranda versus state and Miranda wins. You have to know your job. You have to understand the laws because the laws and everything is set up to give the people that we're arresting the advantage. So you have to stay on top of that stuff and just education. I mean, I went and got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice just to stay up on education.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, I think I appreciate that. I like, it's like, better to free 100 guilty men than one innocent man go to jail type of deal with, we really have to be on it, be sharp to get a conviction. You really have to drive it home. You cannot have lackluster investigations. You can't not cross your T's, dot your I's. And if you ever have a weak case and you get torn apart by an attorney at court, it's like
fun.
It's like the only time you let it happen. You're like, that's it. I'm not going to benefit out again because it might get, he might do a plea deal. Maybe it won't go to trial, whatever. And then it goes and you're like, oh man,
crap.
This sucks. So that's great advice, man. Absolutely. Kyle, thank you for coming on the show, man. It was an honor to have you.
Yeah, you too, Steve. Thank you so much. And if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to holler.
Absolutely. You as well. I'm going to throw you in the green room, do the outro. Can you hang up for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, guys. Episode 112, Southeast Texas. There's alligators there. Did you guys know that? Jeez, I sound like a real dummy. I pretty much don't know anything. Kyle was educating me. Great stories. Great to have another Texas cop on. What a great state. Lovers of freedom. Guys, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the recent 5-star reviews. If you haven't done that, please go to Apple Podcasts and do a 5-star review. If you love the show and you want to join the community and get a little bit more content, get a little more access to me, join the community at Patreon. It's the link is in the show notes, and also if you go to the website and scroll down to donate, it will bring you there as well. If you want to be a guest on the show, thingspleasesee.com, go there, scroll down to be a guest, shoot me a quick note, and we'll get you on. So thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll catch you next time.